Hey everyone, and welcome. I have Darren here with me today, who just finished his bachelor's degree in just under 6 months. We're going to talk about his story and hopefully help you get your degree really quickly. Darren, thank you for being here and being willing to share how you did this.
Oh, thank you so much, Ryan. I really appreciate your guidance and inspiration along the way.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm just so excited for you. And let's hope we can have a conversation that inspires others and helps those of you watching to save a whole bunch of time and money on your college degree. Now, I want to introduce this concept really quickly and we'll get Darren's story, but I teach a process that I call degree hacking. It's almost like self studying your way to a college degree, and it's a lot faster and it's a lot less expensive. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Darren, I want to push it to you, and I just want to ask you, can you share your story a little bit? And I know you've gone to college in the past traditionally, and as an adult, many years later, you came back and you got another degree using this degree hacking process. Can you just kind of share your story and how you got into this and kind of what brought you to this point?
I'm 56 years old. Went to college the first time back in the Stone Age, late 80s, early 90s. Uh, Went to a liberal arts college in Indiana and double majored in political science and journalism and fell in love with the radio business. Completed 84 credit hours. And then my dream job, at age 22, 23, opened up and I had the chance to work full time in the radio industry, something that I'd always dreamed of doing as a kid. So I left college without graduating and had a nice long run in Indianapolis radio for a lot of years and was very rewarding. I always wanted to go back to college someday. Both of my parents are college graduates, and I I know it would have meant a lot to them, and more importantly myself to finish what I started. Um, the radio industry went through some rough times, and I lost my job due to economic reasons in 2009. Got into sales, worked my way up, and I've had a great career in sales. I've been blessed with two wonderful careers that I was able to accomplish without a college degree. But as I got older, I realized that a degree also has some intrinsic value. You want to finish what you started, leave a little bit of a legacy, and be a good example to your children and grandchildren. At age 55, I discovered Ryan Swayt uh, on YouTube almost by accident. I have no idea how I discovered the channel. I only used YouTube to watch music videos, and I just became fascinated. And how are people able to finish college so quickly? And it was the BS in communications video that you launched or put out about a year ago that had me thinking, I can do this. If I'm going to do this, this would be the degree program. And I did some research and on Reddit and Facebook from other accelerators, and I thought, well, there's no reason why I can't do this too. So enrolled, and 6 months later, I earned my bachelor's in science and communications.
That is absolutely incredible. Congratulations again. Now, people watching are probably thinking, well, you figured out how to do this and you went and did this. Since you have experience being a traditional student years ago and you have experience with this degree hacking process, how is it different? What's different? And do you like the new process more? I'm assuming you do because you got your degree in 6 months. But tell us about how, like, more of a modern learning process is influencing education and your experience with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the 80s and 90s, when I attempted college the first time, you'd get four courses and then you'd have 16 weeks to do them. With a set schedule and mandatory attendance and quizzes and papers and through competency-based education, you focus on one class at a time, and you have modern resources. We didn't have internet accessibility back when I went to college the first time. I'm in my mid 50s. The modern resources that are available today, with the internet and artificial intelligence, and being able to focus on one class at a time. It's just amazing. Now you learn just as much, and I would argue more because it's more concentrated. You learn what is really important. You're able to cut out the filler, focus on what you need to know to pass the class. It made studying so much more efficient. I don't want people to think that it's easy, that hacking is cheating, because there's still a lot of effort, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and especially in material that you don't have a lot of foundational knowledge. But as an adult learner, on a lot of these classes, you're just filling in knowledge gaps. You already have the foundation. A lot of us are in business in some way, shape, or form. So we just need to learn the terminology and different concepts and how to apply those concepts. It's so much easier going back to college as an adult learner. My memory may not be quite as sharp as it was 35 years ago, but experience, really, really counts, especially in competency-based education.
I 100% agree with you. I dropped out of college twice before I figured out how to do this. And once I figured this out, people ask me, like, how hard is college? And I tell them, once I figured out how to do this, college was easier than high school was for me. I didn't do very well in high school. And it's just easier because you have control. You know what you need to learn and you can go and do it. And like you said, you can use modern resources. Schools still follow the same traditional cycle of lectures and textbooks and homework assignments. And that's a pretty outdated learning approach when you can go to YouTube and learn algebra on YouTube, right? You can go to AI and have a conversation with AI and fill in knowledge gaps where you're lacking. It's using modern resources is just a major game changer with learning. Talking about math, I want to ask you, did you have hard classes specifically? I know you've told me in the past about a math class, but for subjects like math or something that's really challenging for other students, I know there are a lot of students watching that are thinking, I can't go back to college because I can't pass math or because I can't pass whatever the challenge is, right? Can you talk about that a little bit and what it was like for
Sure.
you?
I had toyed with the idea of using a third party provider to meet the math requirement. I had to pass statistics, had not passed a math class in 35, 40 years, and was scared that would be what would prevent me from earning a degree. And the enrollment counselor at WGU told me, he said, look, the school is well aware of this. We have a tremendous amount of resources that will help you pass this class. He wasn't guaranteeing a pass. I would still have to put in a lot of work. Out of 30 classes that I had to finish to earn my degree, statistics was the 23rd, and I was terrified. How am I possibly gonna pass this class? I'm gonna make a fool of myself. It's gonna cost me another term. The school, they gave me all the tools that I needed. Course instructors would meet with me twice on Sundays. Good luck getting that at a brick and mortar school. There were tutors, live cohorts throughout the week. I spent over 120 hours studying the required statistics class, and it was the greatest feeling in the world. I'm way too old to cry tears of joy, but I'll tell you what, that was a tremendous feeling, and I think I was able to do that because that was the only class I focused on for 3 weeks. And when I tell people who went to traditional schools, brick and mortar schools, that it took me 120 hours, but 3 weeks to pass this class. And it was the longest class I was stuck in. They're like, 3 weeks? Shut up. You know, so here I am complaining about how long it took, but really, in the grand scheme of things, with traditional college, passing a class in 3 weeks is not long. So a lot of hours, though.
Absolutely. 3 weeks being your longest class it's excellent. I mean, you spent 3 weeks or 120 hours on math and you still got your bachelor's degree in 6 months. It's
Yeah.
impressive. I think one of the biggest flaws in the education system is the on again, off again learning style where, I mean, I really struggled with math growing up because I would lose interest when I got a boring teacher and I'd fall asleep in a lesson and then I'd have a whole weekend off and then I'd come back the next Monday and we'd be 2 steps further than where I fell asleep and I'm lost forever. Well, then, I mean, algebra to algebra 2, you've got 6 months or 4 months learning this class. And then you have the next semester off and then you have a summer break. And then you start almost a year later to pick up where you left off. And that is just not how our brains work. We work so much more efficiently when it's, let me learn something to the finish line in completion at my own pace, and then move on to the next subject. Learning math across 12 years, all broken up and sprinkled all over the place with 12 different teachers is a real challenge for most of us. I'm glad you were able to do it this quickly. Now, I'd like to ask you this. Did you, because a lot of people will come to me and be like, yeah, you got your degree fast, but I spent 4 years in school and I learned a lot. You must have learned nothing. Did you, I'm convinced that's completely false. Did you learn? Like, are you walking forward into the future with knowledge that you're happy about?
Oh, absolutely. I learned a lot about accounting and finance and concepts that I'm able to use at on my job. I spent a tremendous amount of time on my coursework, weekends, and now my wife has a master's degree. She's a family nurse practitioner, and she was in college for 8 to 10 years. So she was a big skeptic of competency based education, and how can you get a bachelor's degree in 6 months? But she thought about the amount of hours that I would spend reading and writing and absorbing knowledge that I'm able to put to use every day at work. And I'm pretty sure I've made a believer out of her. And yeah, of course there are plenty of skeptics, but and you got to keep in mind that you know um, 22 years ago, maybe you weren't, or when you were a 22-year-old, maybe you weren't as disciplined as a student as you are as an adult. So while, yes, you may have been in college for 4 years, there were a lot of times at the frat house having a good old time. So,
Absolutely. I do imagine if schools came out and told these young students, hey, you just finish the work as fast as you can, and when you're done with school forever. I think you'd have 2 groups of students. You'd have a group of students who would go get that thing out of the way as fast as they can. And then you'd have a group of students that just want the experience and would hang back. Well, as an adult student, we don't have the luxury of 4 years to enjoy life, and we have responsibilities and we have bills to pay and children to raise. And it's a lot easier to have that fire under you saying, few more months, you're almost done. Just keep going.
oh, absolutely, and it took a lot of discipline, but that comes with maturity and in age. I'm uh, much more disciplined in my 50s than in my teens or 20s, and no doubt I absorbed more knowledge. Through competency-based education in my 50s than I did 35 years ago.
That's incredible. One of my favorite things about the model is in college, there are specific things you have to learn to get credit for classes. Well, there's also a lot of other added information that is, you don't have to learn. I mean, sometimes course material is sprinkled with teachers' or professors' opinions and lecture tangents where it's just, you don't need it, right? We have the choice over where we go deep. We have to learn what's required, but beyond that, there's always deeper and more material. And if you're interested in something, you can sit down and you can go as deep as you want, and you can learn as much as you want in any given area. But more importantly, for some students, you can skip what you don't want to learn. If it's just extra added material into you, you have no interest in it, it's not going to benefit your career, you can move along and go to the next thing, which is pretty exciting. I want to ask you, Darren, any thoughts on that? And I also want you to add, like, what was your schedule like through this process? Were you working full time? Are you doing your studies in the morning or late at night or on weekends? What was your schedule like?
Oh, sure. I'm a sales manager for a manufacturing company and work 55, 60 hours a week, travel a lot. But I was disciplined. I studied for an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning, and then 2 to 3 hours in the evening. Fridays, that was family time. Date night with the wife on Fridays, and then I would spend at least 8 to 10 hours a day. Um, Saturdays and Sundays on my coursework. With WGU having proctored exams, a lot of times I'd be in a hotel room in a strange city, hoping that the hotel I was staying in had a good Wi-Fi connection, and the proctor would say, "Is that a 65-inch TV screen in front of you? You're going to need to cover that up." And I remember one funny incident where I'm pulling the bedspread off the bed and draping it over a 65-inch TV, and it looked like the wall mount was gonna rip out. I'm like, oh my, I'm gonna be on the hook, and the proctor from half a world away is just dying laughing. So there were a lot of interesting moments, but you study when you can, and with modern resources. You can use some extensions to record your notes and have it played back as like a two-person podcast. You can listen to that while you're in a rental car in some strange city, or when you're on a plane traveling across the country. Even with a lot of travel and a hectic work schedule, I was able to get in a lot of studying, because of technology. Planes, trains, and automobiles, it didn't matter. I was able to learn material.
I love it. You're fitting it around your life. And can I just shout out right here? Date night with your wife should take priority over your schoolwork. Anyone who's married, take some advice here from Darren because he's right. I was the type, me personally, I don't have enough gas in the tank. I am just not one of those people that can work 7 days a week. I just can't do it. I never have been able to. Some people can. Some people have the Energizer battery that just keeps going and going. I would study at night and I would never do schoolwork on the weekends. So for those of you watching, if you're like, Darren's all in, you need to be all in, but you can be all in your own way. In a way that works with you and your schedule, whether you're a morning person or a night person or a weekend person or a study while you're on the job at your current job person. It doesn't matter because you're in control.
Yes, the flexibility is amazing, and but you're absolutely right, Ryan. Family comes first, and even with focused study, I always kept that in mind. You got to have priorities, and you can do both. It's working smart. That's the key.
Yep, absolutely. And for those of you that are thinking about this process, like how does it even work? There are programs where universities will basically say, if you prove to us you've learned the material, we will give you credit for that class. What we're doing here, and I teach students how to do this all the time, we're figuring out what we need to learn and we're learning it whatever way works best for each of us individually without having to rely on that cycle that the school uses where it's always lectures and homework assignments. It's what's best for you and how are you going to learn best? And let's match that with getting the curriculum into your brain. What are your thoughts on that, Darren? And was there anything that didn't work for you or worked really well for you? What are your thoughts there?
What really worked well for me are the pre-recorded cohorts, and being able to learn the lectures from the course instructors. And the slide decks that they present. Look, if they're going to take the time to write notes down on a slide, there's a good chance you're going to be tested on that material. Um, you know, you, the school through their pre-assessments, you take a pre-assessment before you take the high stakes exam. You learn how to study what is on the pre-assessment so that you can pass the final. That worked very, very well for me. Um, I also enjoyed reading the chapter summaries, using artificial intelligence to quiz me on the concepts. That really, really put the knowledge that I needed to pass these high stakes exams. So yeah, being able to access those tools was really a godsend.
Darren, what you're saying here super valuable to people, and I think what people need to grasp is that you learn the way that learns best for you. We've kind of talked about learning your own way, but let's say you mentioned the videos that instructors put together. So many of us learn really well through videos, and others learn well reading through written textbooks, but you get to choose. And that's my favorite thing about this is it doesn't matter what your learning style is or what you prefer. You have the agency or the ability to make that choice. Let me ask you, Darren, now you have the degree. What's next? Like, how is this benefiting you through your career? Are you going for more promotions? Or do you just want the degree to hang on the wall and be an example to your family and friends?
It started out as intrinsic. I'm like, okay, you're in your mid 50s. Um, you really have a career that you enjoy. It's all about the intrinsic value. But a funny thing happened along the way. In the Bachelor of Science of Communications program at WGU, you have to take courses in accounting and finance. It's not like a communications degree from 35, 40 years ago where they stuck you in a student radio station or had you serve as a sports editor for a newspaper. It's much more business focused. And these classes that I dreaded, accounting and finance, I absolutely really enjoyed the material. And not only am I able to apply that knowledge day to day in my job as a sales manager, but I'm going to enroll in the MBA program at WGU and keep the party going. See if
That
I
is fantastic.
can't hack a master of business administration. So that's what's up next. And I owe so much of it to you, Ryan, and the inspiration and the guidance and the wisdom that you share to your viewers. Thank you for planting that seed. I can't thank you enough.
It's my pleasure. I absolutely love doing this because I get to hear stories like yours and I get to meet people like you, and it's fantastic. For those of you that are like, oh, I want to do this, but I need help. I don't know how to do this. I help people all the time. I have a program called Degree Hacking Academy. I'm just going to leave a link down below this video where you can just go learn more about it. But my main goal here is like, I hope that you're inspired. Anyone watching is inspired because Darren, really cool story. You didn't even necessarily need the degree, and now you're wanting more and you're going for an MBA. And it's really cool. And for those of you that are not happy with your career, you're not too old to make a shift and to learn something new and to go into a different field or to advance your career and get a better job. It's, I don't know, technology and this new world, it's changed things. We don't have to be stuck if we don't want to. Darren, I just want to ask you, do you have any closing thoughts for anyone watching?
You're never too old. Look, I'm sure I'm in the top 2% of of students in terms of age at WGU, but I guarantee you, I don't care how old you are, you're going to find someone at that school who is more senior than you are. So please don't let that be a deterrent. It is so inspiring to me, and when I see Reddit threads about, I'm 52, has my ship sailed? Is it too late? And a lot of times, no, I'm 55. It's not too late. I earned my degree. Then you'll see a 62-year-old who said, "Hey, I just started." Then you'll see a 71-year-old. They had a graduation in Louisville a few weeks ago, and there were people in their 60s and 70s there. So it's never too late. And the reasons can be wanting to fulfill a lifelong dream to finish what you started years ago, or maybe you want to pivot careers. Look, nothing is guaranteed in life, and it's better to have a degree and not need it than to need a degree and not have it.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. For those thinking age, I've helped students from 16 years old to 92 years old. Shouldn't be a factor, or where you're at in life shouldn't be a factor. It's a matter of, is this something you want? And if it's something you want, you can have it. I can assure you of that. And I just hope that someone watching is inspired and that wants to go add this to their life as well. Darren, thank you so much for being here today, for sharing your story with us. And again, congratulations, and keep us posted on the MBA, because we're really excited to hear about that as well.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
My pleasure. Everyone watching, like the video, leave some congratulations comments for Darren, and we will talk to you in the next one.